Hi Chris, how are you?
Good evening, Rod. Yes, I'm well. Here we are, episode 202. It's the 8th of November, still 2025, and we ain't got many more left till the end of the year.
Which also means it's almost our 3-year anniversary.
Yeah, okay, that's a little crazy, actually. That is a little crazy. And I need to speak to you about our penultimate one, because I'm going to Geneva for a couple of days with my family. So we need to arrange something for the pre-Christmas show.
Well, I think that's okay, because we're going to have to do apps and widgets and gadgets of the year and all that kind of stuff anyway. And we've got some big features this year. We've got Switch 2s come out. We've had some good games come out. Lots and lots of good TV and movies to see. So I think that's okay. We can pre-record that.
Yep, done. Sorted. Okay, so that's that sorted. And how's the weather with you? Mine's a bit soggy, but otherwise actually pretty nice.
It's been a lot worse this last week, I must say. I've spent a lot of time in cars driving up and down motorways this last week. So today was fine because it was barely any rain at all.
And you didn't have to go anywhere in a car?
Only to work.
Yeah, but that's relatively short compared to some of the other locations you've been going to. So.
Yeah, I've been to Scotland and back. I've been to London and back. Maybe we'll talk a little bit more about my car issues later on.
I like how you drive to the extremities of our fine set of countries.
Well, I think keeping the nations communicated, even if it's just by me, is a really important thing to do. So,
Fair enough. Should we get into follow-up?
Let's do some follow-up. So straight off the bat, we've got an X link, which is unusual for us, it must be said. But this is the story that X, the app formerly known as Twitter, has shut down the European Commission's ad account after it received a major fine. So it got a $140 million fine from the European Commission, and as punishment, it shut down the European Commission's ad account. Do you think they're really that bothered?
I can't imagine they're that bothered. It seems a bit petty, though, doesn't it? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean...
But surely they've just cut off some of their revenue if they've shut down their ad account.
Well, this is, if you remember Elon's response to advertisers last time, as he was giving them the finger and telling them to F off, wasn't he? So I think this is pretty much par for the course for X.
It's all a bit weird, though, isn't it? I can't believe we're talking about X. Like, it's literally a non-event in my world. I don't know about you.
Well, I've got another link for them coming up soon, so you're going to get 2 X posts here, or Twitter. But in this one, Beer said the Commission logged into their dormant ad account. So, it sounds like X is all over it anyway.
Yeah, I would imagine they're running such a skeleton staff. It's going to be hard for them to actually properly manage that platform.
Yeah, really difficult. And there is the fact that I follow the EC on Mastodon, and definitely their presence on other social media things like this has been decreasing. Plus, they're a governmental sort of body, so they spread their reach pretty wide. How many ads do they really need to serve?
Yeah, why are they running ads? It's a good question.
Who can answer? Not me. Anyway, I think it's interesting, really, that this is a thing, and a very petty way to respond to a fine, because it's guaranteed to get the regulator back on board with you. Yeah,
it seems right. It feels like something that you could get fined for being petty. So, it seems bonkers.
It does. Something else that is slightly bonkers is that the Rewind Mac app. Do you remember this? We're going to follow this up in the in the news as well, but this definitely belongs in follow-up because we talked about it. The Rewind Mac app was exactly what Microsoft Recall was. It was a little agent that sat on your Mac. It recorded everything on your screen. It compressed gigabytes of files down to megabytes and would let you search for things. What was the brown hat I talked about in the Zoom video earlier? And it would find it for you. So, I mean, this was a feature before Recall, and it's a thing. Did you try this, use this?
No, I didn't, because I wasn't using my Mac as much. Right? It's only very recently I've started reusing my Mac. So I haven't used it. For work, I kind of like the idea of it, but I don't know whether it'd be worth it in practical terms.
Yeah, I think for all the same reasons Microsoft implementation makes me uncomfortable, this makes me uncomfortable. A third party recording my computer screen and everything I do on my computer all the time, and presumably doing some sort of off-board processing, although they were quite good. Limitless, as the company became, were quite good with their privacy policy. I think John Siracusa on ATP tried it and had a reasonable time with it. However, this particular story is that Limitless, the company who makes this, was then bought by Meta, and Meta are shutting it down, the Rewind app. So if you were a Rewind user, you've only got 2 weeks left to make use of it. But Meta is buying all of the things related to the Metaverse, it would seem.
So what are Meta going to do with it? That's the eternal question, isn't it?
Well, we've got a story about Meta later that might actually answer that question, but I think they just see these things and they want to hop on anything AI screen recording. If Microsoft are doing it and potentially Apple can do it in the future, then maybe they just want part of that as well for their own VR goggles or whatever it is else that Meta actually make.
Yeah, I wonder if it's a tech angle or whether they're trying to get good engineers without paying exorbitant recruitment fees. It's like, well, we just buy the company because it's cheaper than paying these crazy salaries these AI engineers have been earning when they come and join us. So it's quite a clever idea, I guess.
It is, and as we'll see later on, Meta's kind of on a recruitment buzz at the moment. They seem to be getting people from left, right, and centre.
They've also been letting people go as well, haven't they?
Well, and as we've repeatedly talked about on the podcast, there's a lot of bums moving around on seats in these companies at the moment. There's hard times in the games industry. All the energy is in AI and presumably server engineers and all that kind of stuff as well. So good people are hard to find, hard to keep, and in high demand.
Yeah, no, I'd agree with that. And company strategy also is obviously playing into whether they grow or shrink in certain areas.
And it's surprising because with the exception of Microsoft, and even Microsoft, these companies seem to have all of the money. Certainly your Apples and Metas do. I mean, we've talked before about OpenAI losing money hand over fist, but they've also got lots of people looking at their products. So, yeah, interesting.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, so moving along and sticking with the AI theme, the New York Times is actually now suing Perplexity for producing verbatim copies of its work. So we talked about this before, that the New York Times was looking at Perplexity about what they were doing in terms of harvesting their content. Well, now they've gone ahead and decided to escalate its legal battle in this, and are actually they actively have a court case in action now. And thank you, The Verge, for once again covering the bottom of my screen when we go to talk about these things. But yeah, I mean, I guess this isn't really a surprise. If anything, anybody's going to be litigious, it's going to be the New York Times, who have signed deals with other companies for licensing that material. Perplexity just taking it is very much in violation of that. So yeah.
And it's interesting, the article, it says of Perplexity's crawlers, apologies, I struggled with that word, they have intentionally ignored or evaded technical content protection measures such as robots.txt, which is a file where you can go, if you're from here, you're not allowed, and AI don't scam me, and yet they've just cracked on anyway. So that is naughty, I think, especially if New York Times has gone to the effort to lock them out, and yet they've scanned it anyway and have then carried on using their content. It's not right, is it?
No, it's not right. And we talked about this before, when if you put in the exact correct search terms into the LLM, the chat box, it would spit out the exact article with the same wording and everything. So, and this is a real problem with these kinds of things for me, and something I worry about in my day job, is if you give AI agents, LLMs, access to the underlying data, then it de-identifies or it potentially becomes identifiable, the data that it's being trained on. So that really doesn't work in situations like healthcare data or research data, where you wouldn't want your end users to be part of the machine. And it's one of the reasons we haven't allowed it so far. But it's a real concern for agencies like us and like others.
Yeah, I agree. I just don't like what they're doing here. Like, we seem to have forgotten our ethics class.
I think we're very aware of the ethics class. We're just racing past it because you don't care.
Yeah, that is it. We don't care. We need to make money.
Yeah, that's all that matters. In pursuit of capitalism. Somebody else that does care is Proton. We have Proton as our email provider on this podcast. I've used Proton Pass before. They're not an advertiser with us. That's just a company whose products we use. Well, this week they announced they're going to add Proton Sheets to their sort of document side of it, so they're secure documents and encrypted. Drive, in the same way that Google have one, Apple have one, Microsoft have one. Proton have one now as well, and they've got a spreadsheet app. It works okay. I've tried it. It works. It can add up. I pasted a LibreOffice ODS file into it, and everything worked pretty much. A couple of the calculations were referencing different cells. Not a surprise with a copy and paste job, but yeah, not bad.
I find it odd they're branching into this space, but they've obviously spotted something in the market that they want to go after this. They're starting to build out a little corporate suite of apps.
Everybody does, though. Zoom has done the same thing. If you remember back in the day, the note-taking app, what was it? OneNote? What was the elephant? Evernote did the same thing as well.
What was the elephant in the room? Evernote.
Yeah, absolutely. Boom. So it's just a thing I think you do when you get to a certain scale. You kind of go, well, what else can we add to our value proposition? It's trivial.
Like a true investor on the value proposition and our growth strategy.
I've clearly been in this world. They're talking about this stuff for far too long, but it's an easy thing for them to do. We offer a VPN app. We offer a Word app. We offer encrypted drive. We offer a password protection app. Bug in a spreadsheet as well.
I always like the spreadsheet apps have to be green.
It kind of is the rule.
It is the rule, isn't it? It's their icon. And Pages and Word are very different though, because you've got blue for Word and orange for Pages, but spreadsheets, they're always green.
Always green. And that is true. That's true across all of. I think it's because it's money, isn't it? Money's green generally.
That's all we use spreadsheets for, is to run the corporate world.
Or do your accounting in some cases. Yeah, certainly in healthcare and research, I see far too many Excel spreadsheets.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Oh, are we keeping you up, Chris?
We are a little bit. I apologise. 12-year-old's birthday party yesterday.
Well, happy birthday to the 12-year-old.
Yeah, thank you.
Something else to celebrate is the Indian government being made to back down in a particular thing that we didn't even have time to talk about last week. So there was huge news that the Indian government was going to require that both Android phones and Apple phones would have a Sanchar Sathi, I hope I'm saying that correctly, app installed. This was an anti-fraud app, was the way the government were portraying it. That if you'd been defrauded or scammed in some way, you put it into the app and they'd be able to follow up on that for you and make sure you wouldn't be defrauded. However, at the same time, it kind of locked to your government ID. It locked what you did on the phone. It recorded your GPS position. It was a backdoor to being able to spy on your population, basically. Apple dug the heels in and said no, and then India changed their mind and said, okay, not a requirement to pre-install.
Wow, I'm surprised about that. And I wouldn't have expected that from India to have a tracking app like that.
Yeah, I mean, it was interesting the way they dressed it up as if it was consumer protective.
Yeah, we're doing this for you.
Yeah. It's interesting how quickly they backed down, because in our second link, Apple doesn't always bow down to foreign governments, because in China, as we've talked about repeatedly, they're a little more sort of loosey-goosey about what they will allow and not allow, and what's in the App Store and what isn't on their smartphones. So it's interesting to contrast the country that is now they're moving some of their production to with the one that their production is mostly in, and how willing they are to go with that, isn't it?
That is quite interesting, actually. Yes.
So, I mean, I don't know what to make about this. If you combine this with their other story about Intel maybe getting back into manufacturing as well, maybe Apple are feeling a little more bullish on who they will say yes and no to.
Yeah, it is odd, isn't it? And again, it's Apple treating countries separately to each other, like they do with their app stores, like they do with how they handle their policies. They just, they bend to the will of those governments. I don't like it. It doesn't feel right.
No, and again, that policy of not having a uniform structure all across the world, as we see with the EU app stores and marketplaces, as we see with their treatment of UK and the encryption laws that they were trying to bring in here, the way they treat Americans differently, the way they treat China and India and Brazil. I mean, I remember they had some manufacturing in Brazil a few years ago, and they push back there as well. So I mean, it's not a one solution fits all, is it?
No, and it feels like it should be, because surely you're going to have one government go, well, you've done it for them, why can't you do it for us? Or you haven't done it for them. And it just doesn't feel right to me.
No, not at all. So there we go. Apple being inconsistent. What a surprise.
Quelle surprise.
A company that's not inconsistent is Samsung. Samsung are always pushing the envelope of technology. In some ways, they had a folding phone, they had a very thin phone, and as we talked about before, now they've got a trifold phone. So if you really, really wanted something that would unfold not once but twice, you can have a 10-inch iPad in your pocket. What do you think of this?
I kind of like the idea of the fold, and the trifold does look cool because, like I say, I'm a big iPad person, like a tablet. But imagine having this, and I've been commuting a lot on the train lately. This would be ideal. Like, I'm on the train, I'm walking around, I just use my phone as a regular phone, and then I'm going to sit down for 45 minutes on the train, open it out, no looking at a tiny screen. And in some ways, this kind of device has got to be better for the creators of content, because how many people are making these very beautiful TV shows and films that we all consume, and they're being consumed on these tiny devices, which largely have good screens now, but they're not big screens, and a lot of things are enjoyed better on a big screen. So I think it looks kind of cool. And the photo you're showing just shows how freakishly thin it is. It's a bit embarrassing for the iPhone Air, is it not?
I think horribly embarrassing for the iPhone Air. This costs a lot more than the iPhone Air as well, but it crams in a 5,600 milliamp hour battery. It's got 120 hertz screen. It's an OLED. It can run 3 apps side by side in this orientation. It's super thin. I mean, it's barely thicker than a USB-C connection.
It feels like it's defying all the sciences kind of thing, like with its chemistry battery and its physics, and just how does this fold? How does it have a battery and a screen and a processor? I think it looks cool. How much is it? So it's
$2,500.
Well, that's kind of what I'd have expected, to be fair. And that's that for this year. As it's new tech, it will come down over time.
Of course it will. The rumor is Apple's going to have a folding phone very soon. So Samsung are way ahead of the game. You think they've got a hinge that they've started off really bad and are now at the point where it seems to be quite good. You don't hear so many failures about it. And we already watched Jerry Rig Everything's. He put a bit of grit into the Pixel Fold's hinge and it completely destroyed itself. So Samsung have got quite good at this, I think. It's quite a cool device. I mean, if I had $2,500 worth of throwaway money, I'd be really interested in something like this. The fact that it runs Samsung's DeX software is really cool as well. You know, you can plug a USB-C cable or a lightning cable into the bottom of it, and you effectively get a Linux desktop if that's what you want. You can run it with a mouse and keyboard. It displays well on a big screen. You've got a 10-inch secondary screen as well, should you plug it into something. Some people carry screens that big around with them so they can have double screens on their laptops. It's an incredible thing.
I agree with you. I think it's a great feat of engineering. Fair play to Samsung. They've been ahead of Apple on this stuff for a long time now. And they've made their phones different, and I like it.
And the irony will be, no doubt, the Apple phone will have Samsung screens.
Yes, I always forget about that bit. It's like, yeah, they will have a Samsung screen inside it. That's quite funny.
It really is. So, well done, Samsung. I'm looking for the reviews of this with some curiosity. I will not buy one. In my head, they're too fragile. I'm too clumsy with devices like this. I would break it almost instantly. I'd fold it the wrong way, or I'd break the crease, or I'd peel the screen protector off, or something like that. But an amazing device.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think it looks cool.
Should we do some news?
Let's do it.
So first up, and just in reference to what we were talking about before, the Limitless app went to Meta. Meta, it seems, might be about to lose its Metaverse unit. So the whole company renamed itself from Facebook to Meta because Mark Zuckerberg was all in on the Metaverse. But this story in the New York Times is apparently they're talking about making cuts to its division in Reality Labs, which develops their Metaverse for them. So this seems very odd to me.
How often do you hear anybody mention the word Metaverse?
Well, only Mark Zuckerberg.
Quite. I think the rename of the company to Meta was a good idea because it was, you could have called it anything, but it was good to walk away from the Facebook name because it's not just Facebook, is it? And I think, to be fair to them, they did a really good job of the rename because they got it on all the splash screens as the app launches. They renamed the company. Google didn't do that, and we still call Google, and we don't call it Alphabet, which is what they were going for. So I think they did a good job of the rebrand. I think that made sense. But obviously they picked Meta because it was all part of the Metaverse. The Metaverse has turned into a big nothing. And nobody's talking about it. Nobody cares about it. So sadly for the people involved, this isn't a big surprise. But it is interesting that they thought this was the future and they've had to back away from it.
I mean, what's interesting about it is they're going to keep trying to build the thing, but their attention has really gone towards augmented reality glasses.
They've shifted, haven't they? They've lifted off and people are buying them. And they've got really popular, even in non-tech circles. You hear people talk about, I listen to the Chris Harris podcast, and he's filmed footage on his YouTube channel on them because you can see him driving a car and he's wearing these glasses. The footage isn't great, but it's good for a little cutaway of what does Chris's view look like when he's doing 100 miles an hour.
Yeah, which is cool, isn't it? And in this article from the New York Times, it even says that the glasses have been a surprise hit, with sales surpassing their internal targets in recent years. I was in John Lewis yesterday in Cardiff, and there was a whole rack of of these products. They had the Ray-Bans ones, they had the Oakley ones, they had their own internal ones as well. For it to sort of penetrate that level of the market, all right, the upper end of a department store here in the UK. But like you say, normal people are getting these in their hands. It's not just nerds. Yeah,
and I think that's the thing. You've taken something quite techy and niche and made it mass market, suitable, available, desirable. Insert word here. And I think they've done a great job of it. This is what Apple used to do when they did the HomePod. It's something that was a little more expensive than everything else, but it was obtainable and desirable. And they've done that with these Meta Ray-Bans.
I genuinely feel that they're slightly rushing to catch up now, Apple, because they've bet the wrong horse with the Vision Pro, as we've talked about before. So, I mean, there's the end to this we're going to talk about a little bit more in a minute, but I think it's really interesting timing that the metaverse as a whole is having less resource, whereas they're focusing on something that actually seems to be making a difference. Because this is where we want to be. We all want to be wearing glasses that give us our directions, or record the thing that we're looking at the moment, or identify that. I mean, the stand-up feature in this is identify that person whose name I can't remember. Let's face it, if anybody are going to do that, it's probably Meta, because they know everybody because of Facebook. It's deeply creepy and worrying, but they know everybody.
No, agreed. So, yeah, I think fair play. They're pivoting. So
They are. Yeah.
And they're doing it very publicly, whereas Apple, as usual, are just quietly burning money somewhere.
At least it's not a car.
True. What a waste of money that was.
What a waste of money. Something that's not a waste of money is being a winner in the Apple App Store Awards. We talk about this every year. We've actually picked things out of this, like I learned about that the better off the shelf thing. If your goods were going stale, you could go and buy them. I can't even remember what it's called now.
Too good to go.
Too good to go. App from the Apple App Store Awards, which apparently I've heard a slightly disturbing thing about, is that now stores are being encouraged to hit that as a sales target. So it's not living in the original spirit of it.
Yeah, it's now taken on another guise of revenue generation, which isn't great, is it?
Yeah, anyway, I think it's just worth us running through this, just the apps in this. So the iPhone app of the year is Timo, never heard of it, or Timo, I guess. Do you use Timo?
No.
Okay, it's an AI planner and to-do list, so that's what we all need, is another to-do list. I think it requires a subscription because it's got in-app purchases, so that's great. It's not a particularly iPhone thing based then. The iPad app of the year is called Detail. Do you use this one?
Nope.
Okay, this is an AI-based video editor. Do you feel feel a theme emerging here?
There's a lot of AI. This one, though, is interesting because I don't know if you listen to Mac Stories, but there's a guy on there called John Voorhees. His son is one of the developers involved in this app.
Well, that's fair enough.
It's quite a nice story.
That's a nice story, but it's another AI-based thing. The Mac app of the year is called Essayist, and this is something I do feel qualified to talk about. I haven't used this one, but this will help you if you're an academic writer. If you put in a reference to a paper or something like that, it will go off and do the referencing and things for you. So, okay. Other than that, it's a fairly basic text app. This also requires an in-app purchase to get it to go off and run. So that one thing that it does, great, it does it. But any sort of academic writer maintains this anyway with their own EndNote, Zotero, similar thing like that. So it's not a requirement, needs a subscription. Again, do you feel a theme emerging here?
A little bit.
So I don't like this particularly. I mean, fair play, but there are other things exist. The Apple Vision Pro app is called Explore POV, which I'm not even going to look at. The Apple Watch app is Strava. How many years has Strava been an app on the Apple Watch?
Oh, I've no idea. It must be a lot. It's got to be more or less a day one app, surely.
Yep. You'll know what Strava is if you're a fitness person, but again, I suspect it requires a subscription. And the Apple TV app of the year is HBO Max, which is great and has just been sold to Netflix. So not a great selection of apps, Apple.
No, it's not. There's nothing real, in my opinion, there's nothing there I want to really try or is setting the world on fire. There's nothing there that's, for me, wow, yeah, I didn't know about this app. It looks amazing. I must go get it.
Yeah, I mean, and there's the usual games and things like that as well, of which most aren't really all that interesting. I would say Cyberpunk 2077 coming out as a Mac app, awesome, but it's a 4-year-old game at this point, I think.
It's quite an old game, isn't it, for it to be Mac Game of the Year, which still says where the Mac is for gaming.
It really does. In fact, I think I got it for free on my PlayStation subscription, and I haven't even opened it yet. So,
wow.
So yeah, that was that. Something else that might not disappoint you, Chris, is there's a new Kindle Color Scribe. What are your thoughts on this?
Oh, I think I've seen this already, haven't I? I think it got pre-announced quite a while ago. I like the Kindle software. I like a digital notebook. I've got one right here in my hand. I think this looks quite cool. I think Amazon is doing a good job. I think they were slow to really invest in the Kindle, but they're making up for it. They are very expensive, though. That's the one thing I'll say. This is launching for $629 for the ColorSoft version, and I guess it's black and white for $499. So it's a very premium device, especially when you could buy a MacBook Air for a couple $100 more than that. So I think they're cool. I really like them. And there seems to be a niche being carved out slowly, but it's still a premium space.
I guess you could get a base iPad and an Apple Pencil for a lot less than this as well, probably for about $400.
Yeah, that is the thing. The benefit in some ways of one of these is it is just for note taking, so it's a good experience and there's no distractions on it. It depends if that's important to you.
Can you not read books in it?
I guess you could read books.
Yes, there you go. It can do something. It can read books as a Kindle.
Yeah. Which was why I liked the Scribe when I had one previously, because I thought I can use that as a book reader too, because I do read a lot of books, but the Paperwhite is better.
I mean, the colour looked very muted to me as well. If I want a colour device, I want it to be a lot more vibrant than that.
I don't think the e-ink screen's quite there yet for vibrancy, but they are quite muted colours even on my Paperwhite, but I use it sparingly. I quite like it. So, like I say, I like these things. I just think it's just too expensive. And some of them are just too big. You know, half the time they're as big as your main computer, which I don't think you always want.
No, it's your world more than mine. I'm not in the market for this, but I guess if you are, you know who you are.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, you'll know if you want one of these.
Do you remember back in the day they did one for students, like a newspaper size one, even a black and white one of the very Kindle DX or something like that? They did a very large one. This looks to be back in that nature of the world.
Did it have a QWERTY keyboard? That was a thing for a little while, wasn't it?
It did. I don't know if it was QWERTY, but it certainly had a row of keys at the bottom of it.
Yeah. So I think it's cool. I think let's have some more weird and wonderful devices, please. I think this is good.
Something that's not good is Crucial, a company I have used repeatedly, is going to stop selling RAM to consumers. So it will continue to sell it in the server space, but I've bought lots of RAM off Crucial over the years, and now they're going to stop.
That is quite sad, isn't it? I remember the same, but you always went Crucial. It's a bit sad, isn't it? But I guess I can understand it, because how often do you upgrade RAM these days?
I've done it recently. I think I bought the RAM for my framework laptop from Crucial. I put in the specs, I put in the type, it gave me what it was. It was slightly cheaper than what Framework themselves were selling it, and you knew it was always reliable RAM. I've used these back in the day. With my original Macs, I bought Crucial RAM.
And that was their niche. They had a great little configurator. That was the thing that they were good at. You could pop in what you had and it would go, this is what you need, and it will work fine.
And they latterly sold SSDs and hard drives and things as well. So, I mean, they were always a memory-based business. I think it's a bit sad, really, when a company of this standing leaves a market. But maybe consumers don't do this anymore. You can see which way the wind's blowing. You buy silicon and chips, don't you? We've talked about a couple of desktops recently. Obviously, all Apple laptops are pre-configured. So consumers don't do it, then that's that.
Yeah, so I'm not that surprised by this. It's sad, though.
So moving on, are you surprised by the whole raft of Apple executive changes that we're about to be swamped with?
Yes and no. So I'm not surprised. We've got a bunch of people moving on. That is life, whether they want to or not. But what got me is how Apple really badly dealt with it, in that why didn't they just have one press release going, we've got some changes coming, it's all happening, we know all about it, here you go, we've handled it in a really proactive and thoughtful way. Whereas what they've done is they've trotted out over the course of a week about 5 or 6 people of their senior exec leaving, and it's like, well, why have you done it every day? I just didn't. That's why you've just dragged out the bad news. Surely you want to announce it once and move on. But I found that bizarre.
Yeah, so this started off with the news that John Giannandrea, who's their AI chief, who we talked about before, he got moved, his division got moved to be under somebody else. I think it was Craig Federighi. He used to run his own division, but then he got moved to be under Craig Federighi. It was reported at the time that he was more of an academic sort of guy than a product, get something out the door kind of guy. And the disappointment of Apple Intelligence, that might feature in that.
And the lack of getting anything out the door is probably featured in that quite a bit. So that one wasn't a surprise.
I think less so, but he said he was leaving Apple following the AI strategy miss, according to this article in 9 to 5 Mac. I quite like the fact that their image for this, and this was on December the 1st, is a dumpster fire. There was obviously something going on.
Yeah, that's quite good.
So he was first, and I'm saving the best till last, but then next, there's other executive transitions have happened. So Kate Adams, who was their legal general counsel, I think, is going to retire next year. And then Lisa Jackson, who was sort of their environmental product person, also set to retire. And they've also announced Jennifer Newstead will join as a senior SVP and become the general counsel. So 2 people leaving, 1 person joining. Lisa Jackson was quite high profile. Appeared in a couple of videos, particularly in that Mother Nature video, and seemed to be very, very accurate and good at what she was doing.
Yeah, agreed. And look, these people are retiring, so the Apple must have known this was coming. It just feels like they haven't really planned for it terribly well. I find it all very bizarre how they're handling it. And look, hopefully these guys are going to go and enjoy long retirements.
Yeah, and they've got lots of money. A lot of them don't need to hang around. They do it because they love it. I mean, this is the point of this, that they're at Apple because it's the best company for people of their talents to be at, it seems. And Tim has left a quote for most of them. John Giannandrea gets one, Lisa Jackson gets one. There's a theme emerging.
Yeah, there is. But like I say, it's odd that this was multiple days worth.
And then just literally before we were going to come on air, I think, or yesterday, there's a rumour that Johnny Srouji could be the next to go. So Johnny Srouji has been the person who has piloted the M1 transition, or the M series transition as much as anything, and all the A series processors. So he is a major, major loss if he goes from Apple.
This was an odd one because apparently he's had a word with Tim and wants to leave. It's like, how's that even got out? That just seemed a bit strange to me.
Yeah, this is a Gurman thing, so the Gurman goes out there and he gets these rumours. But I guess what we're doing is we're saving the best till last year, because all of this really kicked off with the news that Alan Dye, the head of design for Apple, is leaving and going to Meta.
Yeah, which was a bit of a surprise, given that Alan Dye has just got all his dreams come true and released the big update, obviously, that we've all been bemoaning, of the new liquid glass design. He was obviously the figurehead. He introduced it at WWDC, and it's out in the wild for 6 weeks, maybe 8 weeks, and he's announced he's leaving, which seems strange to me. I'm curious to know, was he pushed? Was he poached? Obviously they're playing it that he was very much poached, and he's off to Meta to be their chief. He's going to report to their chief technology officer, and he's going to be like their chief. Oh man, the pop-up just came up. I was about to read it. Where's it gone? Their chief design executive or some such.
Chief technology officer.
No, that's who he's going to report into. So it's just really weird timing that he's done the big iOS redesign and every other system, but doesn't really get to enjoy the fruits of his labour. Or maybe now he's got what he wants. You realise it's not that good. I don't know. It's really bizarre.
So Alan Dye was sort of promoted by Johnny Ive back in the day. Johnny Ive took over as a software guy. Alan Dye was a product guy. He made leaflets and boxes and that kind of marketing material. Was never a user interface guy. And I know Marco Arment on the Accidental Tech podcast has been bemoaning Alan Dye for a while. I'm really struggling to get Y and Dye and Apple out in my words here. But I think we can all agree iOS 26 liquid glass is an unmitigated disaster. I haven't heard anybody say anything nice about it at all since it was.
Do you know what? I think it's a complete non-talking point. Like, even with my kids, just like us, it's not like, it feels like a wasted redesign. Because nobody's talking about it, nobody's bothered by it, nobody's excited by it.
No, it's not like iOS 7 got more commentary, good and bad, than liquid glass has got. And probably Dye is quite upset about this. If this was his big new thing to move things on. And again, he's a product guy. He's not a user interface designer. I'm not going to shed any tears that Alan Dye is going to go. I hope that the guy that's replacing him, whose name I've lost track of now, Steve Loewe, who has been at Apple since 1999, who is a user interface designer, will rein in the madness, really. Because if we can blame Alan Dye for the settings panel, as it's become the control panel on Mac OS, and how terrible that is to use, and then liquid glass, and then the terrible choices in fonts, and the overwhelming desire that content, at the cost of everything else, must be front and center on your screen, and you lose your toolbars, and you hide functionality. If all that could gradually be rowed back, please, I'd be super excited.
I agree with you. But my concern is, obviously lots of people have been involved in the current direction. Are we going to see a change in direction where actually your content is important, but so is what you do with it, and giving you buttons and actions and not hiding everything? So I agree, but I'm nervous that obviously some of the, more than Alan Dye were involved in this. Now, whether they agreed with or not, I don't know, but I hope this is the case. It does get rowed back and we have some sensibility come back, because I like some of the stuff they've done, some of the animations, but I'm fed up with the whole hide everything. And why have I got two X's when I watch a film? Which ones close? Which ones go back? There's a lot of, more often than not now, I'm having to think before I tap the button, because it's not that intuitive, and we've lost a bit of that.
Which is what I want. I want a user interface person to look at this and make user interface designs, not just because he thinks it looks pretty, which has been the thing. And it's not just Alan Dye that left. He's Billy Sorrentino, who worked for him at Apple, has also gone too. So if that whole team is gone, I think that really says something about maybe Meta aren't getting such a win because it's Alan Dye, or maybe they are. Maybe they actually this is an interface they could really see being part of their products going forward. Maybe this is just what they need for their augmented reality classes. But I'll be quite happy if Apple goes back to a couple of pegs back and actually makes it more usable. And you use your computer to do things. They're a tool, and it felt like it's getting in the way of my work. Whereas I wanted to get out of the way of my work in the sense that I want the buttons for the things I want to do with my content to be visible and obvious and handy and not 3 key presses away.
Yeah, I'm with you here. I think this is going to be positive net win. It'll be interesting to see how long it takes to actually see the benefits of it. Hopefully it's like we had with the MacBooks, the recent industrial design, put the ports back, brought back the things we've been bemoaning and are still fantastic and really well designed. And let's hope that this is the kick that the interface needs. So I'm quietly hopeful, but I'm also a little sceptical.
I'm with you. Should we do the shortest car corner in history?
Let's do it.
I'm going to let you talk about it. Tell us about Apple TV and Formula One.
Well, we know this, don't we? In America, if you have Apple TV and you like Formula One, next year your world is made because you're going to get F1 through your Apple TV subscription without paying any more. And it's going to have, they've also confirmed it's going to have the in-car cameras, which is fantastic. So I wish I had Apple TV in America to watch this because for me, that would save me a little boatload of money every year. So I think this is great. And Formula One has just got bigger and bigger and bigger. So I think this will be good for Formula One, and hopefully Apple are going to make it a lot easier for people to understand how they get to use the Apple TV app, because I think there are still some very confused people out there.
So you say it might save you a boatload of money? You don't know that. You don't know what it's going to charge.
It's just including your subscription.
No, really?
Yep.
Wow. But they don't do that with MLS.
No, but I think MLS is going to move to that as well.
That just blows my mind.
But I guess because at the moment they've charged more for it, whereas I think if they bundle it, they get more general subscribers with the whole lot. I guess that's what they're going for. I
guess it might work out quite well for people watching Formula One. Can I cross my fingers and hope that MotoGP comes to this now they're owned by the same company?
But yeah, it's going to happen, isn't it? Sure, they're going to take this template. The people who run Formula One, I think it's Liberty Global, I can't remember the name, and they're just going to cookie cutter it now for all the sports. That's what's going to happen.
Yeah, there you go. Just before we move off Car Corner, I just think this is terrible UI from X.com. The X overlays the post thing. It doesn't look pretty, does it?
No, and a lot of the UI hasn't really changed in years, has it? It's still the old Twitter look and feel, really.
Yeah, that's not nice.
It's still got the Twitter blue at the bottom of the screen. It's just bizarre.
Just rubbish. Should we do some media?
Let's do it.
So first up, in sort of the biggest merger news we've had in a while, apparently Netflix are going to buy Warner Brothers Discovery. So this is worth $72 billion. This is on Netflix's homepage. They're talking about this. Although just before we started recording, I've seen some rumors that apparently Paramount are going to make a last-minute, more hostile bid for this over and above Netflix. So maybe it's not quite a done deal.
Maybe not quite, but a bit mind-blowing though, isn't it? That Netflix, the company that tried to sell itself to Blockbuster 20 years ago, is now buying Warner Brothers for $82.7 billion. Mind-blowing. Like, fair play to the guys at Netflix. And I wonder if they can do a bit of a Disney where, you open up the app and you'll have different tabs for your brands like Disney's done, because you've got the Hulu tab now and the Disney Plus tab. Are there going to be more tabs like that? So the behemoth is getting bigger. We're not going to have many companies left at this rate.
No, I agree. And there's some interesting properties come to Netflix as a consequence of this. So The Big Bang Theory, which is very popular, The Sopranos, one of the sort of main tent poles of what made quality television not that long ago, along with The Wire. Game of Thrones, which was obviously a massive event. Not that you've watched it, but it was a massive event.
Was it? Who knew?
Yeah. Wizard of Oz, the DC Universe, so that's the new Superman film, Batman films, all that kind of stuff. Massive thing to get hold of. Adolescence, which has obviously just been nominated for Golden Globe, so it was a major event. I suspect it'll do well at the BAFTAs and things as well as, really importantly, I think, the Harry Potter series of films and TV shows that's coming. So this is quite amazing, really.
I mean, to own Harry Potter for till the end of time is surely going to be a a good justification for this acquisition. This is going to be insane. The Netflix's offering is now going to become more mandatory for families to have. They were doing pretty well. I think people started coming off it. It feels like it's going to go the other way with this.
Yeah, I mean, this is a feature that I stopped paying for Netflix, and I generally haven't missed it. However, there's a lot of good stuff here, and all the sort of along sort of prequel things for Game of Thrones, Night of the Seven Kingdoms, and all that kind of stuff that's coming. That might bring me back. Plus, I'm quite partial to the DC universe that James Gunn is creating. Peacekeeper I've talked about before. I thought the new Superman film was better than decent. I thought it was really quite good. So I'm quite interested.
I probably need to watch some of this James Gunn malarkey.
I don't know what to tell you, Chris. I can't. Yeah, sometimes I'm just speechless.
I think your sigh said it all.
Yeah, let's move on and talk about podcasts. So one of my favourite podcasts is The Rest of History. It kept me sane going to London. I got taught Scottish history in school largely, so finding out more about English history.
Imagine my surprise.
Yeah, well, I did all right. I did Hitler and the Weimar Republic as well, but I did do economic history too as part of my hires, which is like an A-level for the rest of the country. Anyway, The Rest of History is a terrific podcast. They go into things detailed, that they make it very accessible. It's two British guys, Tom Holland and Dominic Sandbrook. Anyway, Apple has just said The Rest is History is their show of the year, and quite rightly so. So they got this right, even if they didn't get their apps of the year right.
About time they got something right, eh?
Well, I mean, they didn't name The Wake from Sleep as their podcast of the year, but if we're going to be beaten by somebody, I'm fine that it's The Rest is History.
Yeah, fair enough. Maybe this is something I will get into, but I've heard good things about it. I've just never listened to it.
It's terrific. It and Origin Story are far and away my favourite podcasts, non-tech podcasts.
Yeah, no, that's fair enough. I've been listening to a few movie podcasts, as I mentioned recently, and I think that's consumed a lot of my listening time lately.
That's fair enough. Something that might not consume your watching fan, and we were talking about premium television that sort of started the TV revolution, is Mad Men. Mad Men, have you watched Mad Men?
Twice, all the way through.
Excellent. What an excellent TV show it is as well.
Love it. Love all of it. Love the period. Love the way they shot it. Love all of it.
Also, now owned by Netflix, I would point out, as that's part of this deal too.
Which is crazy.
But they've just released a 4K remaster, and it hasn't gone down well, it's fair to say.
No, I couldn't believe this when I saw this screen grab. Absolutely blew my mind. So they've released a 4K remastered version of Mad Men, which is a love show because of the attention to detail and the effort in making it. And I'll let you explain what the scene.
Well, basically, there's one scene where one of the characters, Tony Slattery's character, is Roger, is playing, and you can see the cameramen in the scene. So they've just expanded it up. It's like nobody actually took any care with this remaster. All they've done is scaled it up from the original footage they had, not taking into account the content, the formatting, the widescreen, and everything else that goes into it, and just completely obliterated that attention to detail.
Yeah, not watched it. Like, you've remastered it, but you've not had anybody quality check it. Just very bizarre to me.
I mean, how much would you pay to have this remastered by a company? A not insignificant amount of money. I know that Paramount spent a huge amount getting Star Trek The Next Generation remastered to 4K. So much that they didn't bother doing Deep Space Nine or Voyager or any of the later ones because it cost them so much money. So to have spent the amount of money to get a real prestige thing like this into a format that is accessible by current generation, it blows my mind that you wouldn't take the time and care to sort this out.
Yeah, and I remember that scene. It's with Tony Slattery being ill, and there's basically a guy pumping to make him look like he's being sick, and you see the pipe and everything. It's just awful.
It's just dreadful. And more than that, several episodes in the first season are mislabeled and out of order. They've really just messed this up in all possible ways.
It's not that hard, is it?
No, they just got AI to do it, and AI's done it badly. So on that, has Chris done his homework? Keen listeners will remember I tasked Chris with going off and watching Master and Commander, The Far Side of the World. Have you done it, Chris?
I've watched about half an hour.
Oh, and you didn't watch the rest of it?
I just couldn't really get into it.
Dude.
I might try again, because I've gone to the effort of buying it on Apple TV Store. I don't even know what you call it anymore. iTunes Store. I don't know. And I quite like Russell Crowe. I'd forgotten he was in it to begin with until he wandered in with his ponytail. I don't know. I just don't think it's aged terribly well.
I'm speechless. Tell us about the Bourne Identity.
You went and watched the Bourne Identity. And so I thought, that's a good idea. I'll watch the Bourne Identity. Watched it, loved it. Haven't seen it for ages, but because you watched it, I thought, actually, that sounds quite good. So I think I'm just echoing what you said.
Fair enough. We might have to just end this podcast here. I'm so appalled. Pluribus is still a thing. It's on Apple TV. It's an absolutely terrific TV show, according to the critics and Rotten Tomatoes. I think most of the audience is wrong. I am spellbound by this. I am eagerly waiting for it to drop every week. They dropped the Thanksgiving episode a day early, so those not on holiday could watch it. So we got it a day. And I was made up. I thought it was terrific. It's just extremely compelling, incredibly well written. Vince Gilligan is hitting it out of the park, even more so than Breaking Bad, as far as I'm concerned. Have you tried this yet?
No.
I'm probably not surprised, but it's terrific, and I think it's really worth going off and spending a bit of time and having a go at a TV show, because where it's going, I'm really not entirely sure, but the concept of it not being zombies that take over the world, aliens taking over the world, but they're friendly, and how the individual stands up against that. It's a lot to say about capitalism, environmentalism, the value of the individual, how crowds react. It's just such a thoughtful, well-made TV show.
Yeah, I just haven't had a window of opportunity, I think, to sample some of this stuff. So I've had a lot late, because it's Christmas time. There's been a lot more events going on, and I need to have some time for myself.
Yeah, and finish Master and Commander. Something else I've been watching is Race Across the World. It's just very good. I thought it was a bit of a damp squib when it started off. No, I'm not. All I'm going to say is I thought it was a damp squib when it started off.
Agreed.
It's got better. I've got more into it, and I think normally it's more of an instant hook for me. I think because I'd been to South America with the non-celebrities before, I was a bit like, but actually it's as compelling as it ever was, and it's just a terrifically well-made show.
Yeah, I'm a little behind because I try and watch my son, but I've been away with work, so I think we're a week out at the moment.
And I can't give you spoilers because it's not finished yet. So
perfect, even better. So we need to play some catch up.
You absolutely do. Severance Season 3 schedule has been announced. We're not going to see it until 2027, it would seem. They're going to start filming it till 2026. That seems like a long time to wait for a really premium TV show for this, but it's shorter than we waited for Season 2.
I guess, and equally I'd rather them take the time and get it right than rush it, and it's rubbish. So I kind of get it, but why didn't they start this earlier on? They knew they were onto a good thing. So I'm surprised it's taken so long to get this going. Maybe they didn't have the idea. Maybe that's taken the time.
I'll go for quality over quantity and speed in this case, though.
I completely agree. Yeah. So we've got to wait. It's nice to have something to look forward to.
Games
is with me this week.
It's all on you. Tell us about Gran Turismo.
This could have kind of been in follow-up, but we did talk about Gran Turismo has got 2 updates coming. Gran Turismo 7 on the PlayStation 5. The first one is what they call their Spec 3 update, which is some more cars, some more tracks, and it's free. It's a great update. Everybody should go get this that plays Gran Turismo. You get the Gilles Villeneuve circuit, and you get the Yas Marina circuit, which was just in time to have a go on it before the final of the F1. Really good. So great free update. And they've also then refreshed the main menu, kind of like the little mini map of the different locations. And then they've added a giant boat in the bottom left corner, which is the PowerPack. And you can go off and actually buy downloadable content for around £25 here in the UK. And that basically gets you something I think you were craving, where can I do a practice, a qualifier, and then a race? Because I'm always starting at the back and I have to get further forward. And so that's what this is about. This is about you picking different cars. You pay a small amount of money to enter, and you can go do a race, but you can qualify to do the race. And I think it's quite cool. It's another dimension to the game. Apparently, though, when you launch the game, it says they've sold 100 million copies of this game. And this is the first time they've asked me for extra money since I bought it. And I'm all right with that. And it's, like I say, it's £25. It seems fair to me. So I'm very happy. My favourite game has got 2, one free update and a paid for update. Lots of cars. Loving it.
Yeah, I'm not going to pay this. Much as I drop into Gran Turismo now and then, I feel it's missing a little soul, which the original Gran Turismo's had. I don't think the choices of...
How dare you?
No, I don't think the choices of missions and progression have been as good as earlier Gran Turismos. I genuinely don't. I'm not compelled to go and get the gold trophy, really, because I'm a bit like, bronze is good enough, you know. And yeah, that was never a thing with Gran Turismo 1, 2, 3. I felt like the progression and the career was good, because all it's really locking me out of is, the extreme sort of tuning thing in the shop is one thing. It doesn't stop you doing anything else. To me, it handles the same as previous Gran Turismo. It doesn't feel significantly, but there's a little bit more damage on the cars and things like that. It's just missing something for me, and that is passion, I think. It's like they've made it's almost like an AI was asked to make Gran Turismo 2 again. It hasn't got the same amount of cars. It hasn't got the same amount of tuning options, and it misses that passion. The tracks feel very clinical to me. I don't know. I'm struggling to explain it, but does that make sense?
Yeah, I get it for you. It's not pushing the buttons. I think the reason though I'm enjoying it, probably more than I would if I was playing on my own, is because I'm playing it a bit with my son, and we sit on the couch and we do a lap each and pass the controller back and forth, or I'll do a race then he'll do a race, or I'll go and win some money and he'll go and spend it, and it's just a bit more of a combined experience. And I think that's why I've got probably a little more fondness for it, because I'm enjoying doing things with my son. And it's only one of my sons that will play it with me, but there's that bit of shared interest. Whereas if I was playing on my own like you, I'd probably bowed out a while ago.
Yeah, I'm just a bit sad about the whole thing, really. That I wanted it to be better, and £25, I know it's not a lot in the great scheme of a £70 game 3 years later, but it's quite a lot in terms of what you get for a DLC. Most DLCs are $9.99 or something like that in most cases, so this feels a little swinging from that point of view.
Yeah, I don't disagree with it, but I'm straight into it, because like I say, I'm enjoying doing it with my boy, and if I wasn't doing it with my boy, I'd probably not rushed.
Fair enough. Should we do a main show?
Let's do the main show. It's all about you.
It's all about me. It's going to be very short. I bought a new car.
Ooh.
Well, new to me anyway. I bought what is classed by Mercedes-Benz as a W168 Mercedes A-Class. So this is the funny-looking car that failed the elk test, for those with long memories.
What was the elk test?
So the elk test was, they released this car at a much narrower track. It was the smallest car Mercedes had ever made. It was, however, scaled to be much bigger inside than it looked. So it's the first properly sort of small car Mercedes ever made, but it was a bit funny looking. It was quite tall, like a Japanese K car or something like that, but had quite a narrow wheelbase, and sort of accommodate the larger passenger cabin. They kind of made some interesting choices when it came to the handling. And the elk test is what they do in Sweden with all cars, to see if you have to swerve to avoid an elk, which kind of makes sense, doesn't it?
Does make sense.
So you have to swerve violently out of the way of the elk, and then you need to swerve violently back in to the lane that you were in. So when they did the elk test with the Mercedes A-Class, and I'm trying to bring up the YouTube video at the same time, and I'll skip through it. Hopefully they'll show it. What happened, it's got to be there, is the car fell over. So it sort of swerves violently back and forth a few times, and then ultimately the car falls over, and unfortunately I've picked the wrong video for it. I will find one to put it in the show notes properly. So the original first generation A-Class was well reviewed, and then the Swedish reviewers get hold of it, and then it fell over during the elk test. So bit of a problem for Mercedes.
Yeah, and this was a long time ago. This was back in the late 90s, wasn't it?
Yeah, late 90s for the first generation car. Anyway, they went and fixed it. They made some changes to the shock absorbers and the tracking of the car for the second generation. They fixed the problem, which not all motor manufacturers go and do, frankly. So from the second generation onwards, and they recalled the first generation to fix it, the car was fine, although it was left with this sort of overhanging, this car falls over thing. Anyway.
Yeah, it's quite a thing to shift, isn't it, that stigma?
It is. And you know, the A-Class still exists, but it doesn't look like this anymore. It looks like a more traditional shaped car. The later generation, I think from the fourth generation onward, it kind of looks like this. The W177 ones, they're a more traditional looking car. It's
got to be one of their biggest selling cars, I'd have thought, because they are everywhere.
Yeah, you see a lot of A-Classes. There's a GLA, there's a four-wheel drive variant of it, there's a sporty variant of it. There's a lot of A-Class variants kicking around now, but it all started way back when with the one I bought, the W168, the 167 I think was the first generation one, but I've got a 168, a 2005 variant that I bought because it was £800, basically.
Wow, that's a lot of car for the money, isn't it? And we've both bought cars this year. I think they're like 10 years old and probably not something we'd normally buy. It's been quite an interesting year, I think.
It has, and it's just because of my current situation where it's not easy for me to charge an EV anymore. And when I was able to charge an EV more sensibly, it made complete sense. £7 for topping up 200 miles range, unbeatable. However, the second you need to do lots of long driving, which I found myself doing this year, and I don't think it's going to go away next year, I just need something cheap and reliable I can trundle up to a couple hundred miles in. and not cost me, let's face it, up to 35 quid, up to 40 quid I've paid once to charge the thing. And that's untenable, really.
Yeah, no, that's fair enough. I get it. And I've ended up just nipping to train stations. So I wanted an older car that I didn't mind if somebody dinged it or what have you, because I'm just parking up in a train station for 24 hours and then I'm going to pick it back up again. I think this is quite a cool choice. I think they're quite cool cars. And you've got a lot of car for the money, which is fantastic.
Yeah, I'm pretty pleased with it, I got to say. And it's quite old school. It doesn't even have Bluetooth. So, I had to put one AirPod into my ear when I was driving through the centre of London to bring it back to get driving directions, because there's not even anywhere to mount your phone.
Yeah, you're talking to somebody that's got 2 old cars, and I know what this is like, but I did spend the effort and some money to put modern stereos in. And do you know what? As soon as you put modern stereo in, it actually feels like you've got a modern car, because your car isn't that much different. Yeah, it's got the gears, it's got speedos, but as soon as you swap the stereo out for something a little bit more recent that does CarPlay, it's like you're driving a new car.
Yeah, so it's something I'm going to look into, and I've just found the link I was looking for. This is the original elk test. The first one, it kind of goes off the road a bit, and the second one, they actually managed to tip the car over. So I'll just leave that playing for the YouTube watcher while we continue to talk about adding. Here you go. No, we may as well commentate on this when we go. So we swerve it back and forth. He's doing his elk test, and you can see the car actually goes up on 2 wheels at one point, so fail.
That's some skill, whoever's driving that car. Fair play. The way they get weaving in and out the cones at that speed. Yeah, that's a cool video.
It's a cool video, and it's quite a cool little car. It's funny, I picked my daughters up in it yesterday on my way back from London, and I'm thinking at some point this will probably end up with one of them, because they've got one car between them at the moment, and that's not going to work sustainably for a long time. This is a safe, reliable car you can get in and sort of fix things on that I think is probably good for, well, who knows. If it dies by next week, I'll obviously report back on the podcast that my 20-year-old purchases let me down. But I think this is a sort of fairly solid car to pass on to, not a new driver, but somebody that just needs wheels to get around a city.
Yeah, no, I think you'll be fine with this.
So there you go. That's my purchase of the week, and I'll report back if I manage to add some technology to it. I've watched a couple of videos about people who've retrofitted. They've taken out the original stereo, which is, you'll love this, still has the fitting for a Nokia phone built onto it.
Wow, that does age a car, doesn't it? If it takes a Nokia phone, because you'd have to explain to like my kids and probably your kids that Nokia used to make phones.
Yeah, and it's got that bracket for like a 7610 or something that you just popped it into. That's how old the setting is in the car.
Wow, okay. Like I say, I can recommend doing the head unit because it will feel like a modern car, so I can get behind that.
Yeah, I think that for the sake of about 140 quid, which I might wait till January to get, because Christmas is expensive, I might see if I can update it.
And working on cars in the cold is not much fun.
Yeah, that's probably not a great idea, is it? Yeah, I hadn't thought about that. But there you go, Mercedes A-Class. I'll report back on my old tech as I go.
Done. App of the week.
App of the week is the Trainline. I've been on a lot of trains recently, back and forth for work and back and forth for picking up the car the other day as well. And the Trainline just makes it very simple. You can price tickets, you can buy them in there. When you buy them, it gets added to Apple Wallet. It's all very, very straightforward, I think. It does claim to try and get you the cheapest tickets. And the other thing I like about it is if your train is delayed, it automatically puts the link in there for you to go and claim any money back for your ticket. After a 15-minute delay in the UK now, you can claim money back for delayed train travel. So it just feels very integrated. It's quite well done. And it might be a bit of a corporate recommendation, but I quite like the Trainline app. I think it's quite well put together.
I can get completely behind this. I do a lot of train travel for work, and the app's actually being updated for iOS 26. I think it's a really good app. I think the guys and girls who develop it have done a good job. I use it all the time. I'm often walking to the train station to come home, and I'll buy my ticket en route, and I can just pop it straight in my wallet. I just think they're using all the tech, and they've done it in a nice way. They haven't tried to make one app work on multiple platforms. They've made the app for iOS, and I assume the Android one is similar. I just think they've done a good job. I think it looks really good, and I use it a huge amount. And yeah, I like it. And the thing they do that saves you money is split save. So it will try and work out the cheapest way to get you from A to B by doing this thing called split save, where it buys a ticket to a stop on your route and then the ticket from there onwards, and it saves you some money, and it's quite cool.
And I've even used it in Scotland, where you can have some odd things around activating tickets for the day of travel. So you just buy a ticket and then you go, unlike GWR or companies we're more used to in this part of the world. So ScotRail does some odd things with its tickets. And that even works quite well as well. You can buy a batch of tickets, you can activate them when you want to. So it's quite nice. And you can even buy Eurostar tickets with it too. So it's just a very complete app.
Yeah, and they've clearly invested in their tech because I think they've got some good tech. And if you're an employee like me and you need to claim back, you need to go get your PDF receipts and save them down. So would recommend.
Fair enough. Thing of the week.
So thing of the week, I finally caved and I bought some Ubiquity. I only bought one thing because it was on Black Friday, and I bought the Internet Cloud Gateway Max, I think it's called. So I've made a step into the Ubiquity networking world that you're in, and I'm liking it. And I've just ordered some Wi-Fi access points so I can fit those. But I'm very impressed with their tech. It's very cool, really easy to set up. You can do some super technical stuff if you want, things I don't understand, but equally you can keep it quite simple if you want. So I think it's really good. I'm looking forward to doing a bit more with it once I add some more devices to my network. But what it's shown me so far is cool, like how much I'm downloading, which devices are being really busy. They just present it in a way better way than Eero. I could do it in my web browser, which is better. I like it. It's not cheap, but I think it's cool. And it's the upgrade I want to do because I want to get Wi-Fi 7 and 2.5 gig networking throughout the house. And this will be the start of that journey.
Yeah, there's some really nice features built into the user interface, and it's upgradable as well. Like you say, if you buy a Wi-Fi 7 hotspots now and Wi-Fi 8 comes out in 2 years, you only need to replace the APs. The APs are generally sort of 70 to 80 quid for the new models when they come out. So it's a relatively affordable upgrade then, if you want to do that. And
I like the modularity of it. I think that's really good. Like you could add cameras if you want, or a doorbell. The gateway router thing I bought, I didn't buy any storage in it, but I can add storage if I want. Like what a world we live in where you can actually upgrade stuff when you want to because your needs change.
Well, it's ex-Apple engineers that went off to found Ubiquity, and you can tell they've still got that attitude that Apple used to have where they build the best possible products, but they trust you as a user to go on and do the right things with it. And that's certainly the culture that seems to, permeate the company.
And all nicely designed. The interface, really nice. My only comment would be some of it's a bit grey in places. You're like, is it disabled? Or, oh no, I can click on it. But the hardware is beautiful. It's all really nice, really tasteful. So I'm enjoying it thus far.
Yeah, it's not cheap, but it's professional level stuff.
Yeah, it's not cheap, but to get me Wi-Fi 7 and a few other bits, I think it'll be worth it. And it's expensive to get into it because I'm upgrading everything. But I think once I'm in there, I can then do things as and when I want to. So I'm looking forward to doing a bit more with it.
Yeah, good choice. It's your best thing of the week in some time, Chris. Well done.
I should have listened to you earlier, is what I can hear you saying.
I'm waiting for you to start talking about Docker in about 6 months' time now.
I'll get there. I think this year, though, has been my year of getting a bit more technical. I've done some coding. I've done some web stuff. I'm now doing some networking. And I think I had a little period where I just wasn't as into it, but I'm coming back around.
Perfect. I think we can call that a show, Chris.
I think so. So if anyone wants to get in contact with us, Rod is at g5maniac@mastodon.scot. He's also on Blue Sky, where he's at g5maniac.bsky.social. I'm on Mastodon, and I'm at _CJP at mastodon.social. You can watch on YouTube by going to the website and clicking on our YouTube link, or you can drop us an email at wakefromsleep@protonmail.com.
Talk to you next week, Chris.
Cheers, Rod.